Predstavljam večeras Alvina Panga, to je singapurski pjesnik kojeg smo upoznali u Hrvatskoj prije 2 godine kad je bio gost na međunarodnom festivalu poezije Brutal i nakon toga što je zapravo dio tog projekta Brutala da se objave knjige nekih od autora koji su bile gosti, evo to je prvi put smo uspjeli objaviti dvojezičnu knjigu Alvina Panga, znači izbor iz njegove poezije na hrvatskom i engleskom. Inače, Alvin Pang je prilično poznat singapurski pjesnik, objavio je 4 zbirke poezije, dobio je brojne nagrade, prevođenje na razne jezike, između ostalog, osim kao i pjesnik, uključen je u književnost i poeziju na različite načine, osnivač je njihovog literary center, književnog centra koji se bavi također organizacijom festivala, promocijom poezije, prijevodima, izdavaštvom i u svakom slučaju vrlo zanimljiv i vrlo dobar pjesnik kojeg evo na sreću u tom nekom nedostatku prijevoda suvremene poezije, evo to mislim da je to dosta važan događaj da smo preveli knjigu jednog kvalitetnog suvremenog pjesnika na hrvatski objavili.
Okay, my subjects are very, very broad. I used to be a journalist, so I'm interested in a large number of things. And in fact, one of the reasons why I mainly write poetry instead of, say, write a novel is because it allows me to have a very broad range of subjects. Everything from love to nuclear science, politics, society, culture, food, anything at all that I think strikes me or surprises me. And my writing is a way of trying to understand something that is new to me in an interesting sort of way. Over time, it has changed, of course, as one grows a little older and we're interested in different things. Nowadays, I see it as a kind of a conversation. Maybe it's a bit one-sided, but it's like my side of a conversation, and I feel like I'm talking to a close friend about something that maybe we share or care about. Croatia and Singapore have very similar sizes of population. We're both about 4 or 5 million, both societies, although of course you're much bigger in terms of land area. But we both, I think like smaller societies. We've both been influenced by many different cultures. Like here you have the Austro-Hungarian and Mediterranean tradition, a bit of your own culture as well. And for us, we also are a mix of these many different cultures. So I have found that sense of being at a crossroads, that sense of being small but wanting to be part of a larger world, very interesting. Yeah, and also I find both the culture and the writing very fresh in a way that the writing that's coming out of America or London, not so fresh.
Could you try to compare Croatian and Singapore poetry?
Yeah, I think in both ways the writing is very centered in the urban space. So I think in both cultures, or the poets I've read, they tend to come from the urban centers, Zagreb, Split, Rijeka, and so on, which I suppose is not surprising given the education. And there's always a sense of the city, the heartbeat and the rhythms of the city in the writing, which is something we can relate to a lot, very much. You are a lot more experimental in some ways. There is, of course, a Central European, Slavic and Balkan tradition in poetry, which you don't see so much in American or, say, Northern European writing. It's very different. But that difference is exactly why I find it quite interesting. More and more, the writing from this part of the world is becoming very popular and very welcome elsewhere.
And now you have said much more about Croatian poetry than
about Singapore.
Yeah.
Well, we are relatively young. We do have a very lively poetry scene coming up. Although we are a very small society, 4 or 5 million people, our books of poetry sell quite well. So it's not uncommon for a book of poems to sell 500, 1,000 copies per year, or even more, which is which surprises a lot of people, ourselves included. It's good by any standards. Mostly younger people, people in their 30s, 40s, wanting to find a fresh view of the world and wanting to read books about our way of life, our ideas, rather than just reading books from elsewhere. So I think it's very exciting. We are in a growth phase in our writing. We are interested in learning from different cultures and traditions. And because when you are young and free of tradition, you can pick it up from anywhere. You do not have old masters that you have to pay respect to. So I think it's very exciting. And our writers write in a range of very, very different styles. I hope that you will get to meet more of my fellow Singaporean poets who write differently from me, but I think that there are quite a few really good poets at work.